Before we get started, if you find yourself enjoying the story, please consider giving it a like and hit subscribe. As a growing channel, your engagement is incredibly impactful and helps us reach a bigger audience. Your support means a lot to me. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the video. I never thought that being an introvert could be the death of me. One day, one of the few times I actually want to leave my house, and it won't let me. The world has a hell of a sense of humor. I should probably clarify that by it, I mean the house. Long story short, I spent last night getting completely drunk off my ass, then decided that I was starving and would walk down to the burger joint on the corner and pig out for a bit. I got pants on, grabbed my house key, phone, and wallet, went to open the front door to leave, and it led right back into my living room. First I thought, okay, I'm obviously shit-faced, and this is just my brain telling me it's time to stop. You've had a stressful week. Slow down. Go get some sleep. Stuff like that. But naturally, I never listen to the rational side of my brain when I get drunk. I get hungry, and when I get hungry, I don't think straight. It's a double-edged sword. So, deciding I had probably just spaced and gone through the wrong door, I closed it, walked through the living room into the kitchen, and tried to go out of the back door instead. No worries, I'll just go through the back gate and add a few extra seconds to the trip. Not a big deal. And I'll burn off a few more of the calories I'll be devouring soon. I'm at the back door, which has a glass window pane on it, so I can see outside into the yard. The street light is on outside, a slight breeze rustling the big pine tree that grows in the corner, and I can even see the light from in the house spilling out onto the concrete porch. Finally, no more tricks. Wrong. So fucking wrong. I open the door, and I'm led right back into the living room. Now I'm starting to panic a bit. Was the whiskey I had been drinking old? I had tried some of the homemade moonshine a friend gave me for Christmas. It wasn't bad, but definitely too strong for my taste. Had he spiked it with something just to fuck with me? At this point, I figure it's a sign. I'm obviously too messed up to even consider going out. It's my brain's way of shutting me down before I can go out and do something really bad. So, I give in and decide to go to bed. Things started getting weirder. I was going upstairs to my room just like I would do any other night, only this time it seemed that the stairs were taking forever just to get to the top. I looked behind me and didn't see anything different. I looked above me, and it was the same. So, being that I'm absolutely sloshed right now, I look back down at my feet so I can keep myself from falling. This time, I reach the top within seconds. Okay, just take deep breaths. I'm trying not to have a panic attack. By this point, everything is distorted in that odd haze that happens when you've had just a few too many. My bedroom is right there, the first door on the right. Just a few steps and I'm into the door and heading to my bed. I collapsed on my pillow and almost cried. It was such a relief just to be where I intended to go after the insanity of the past few minutes. I decided I was just going to go to sleep, deal with the hangover in the morning, and figure it all out then. Herein lies the problem. It's now 3 p.m. I woke up an hour ago and figured that last night had all been some stress and alcohol-induced dream. I got up, got dressed, went to leave through the front door, and wound up walking right back into the living room again. I can't rationalize it anymore. There's no way that it's a hangover or stress playing tricks on me. I'm trapped in this god-forsaken house. Every time I try to leave through one of the exterior doors, I get looped right back into the same room that I'm walking out of. I went to the back door again and tried it. The exact same thing happened as last night. I can see the outside through the glass window of the door. It's right there, sun shining down, a few clouds up in the sky. I can even see people walking by over the back fence. Yet every time I open the door, it's like turning a page in a picture book. The outside disappears and gets replaced by the same goddamn room. I even did a quick sequence of opening and closing the door repeatedly. I can see the outside perfectly through the glass, but it's just out of reach. Maybe a window will work. There's the one in the downstairs hall that leads out to the front yard, and it doesn't have a bug screen in it currently because the neighbor's cat tore it to shreds weeks ago. I can see the street outside and sunlight pouring in as I pull the blinds open. The outside is so close, just on the other side of this glass. I pull open the window pane, and it's gone. There's no more outside. Instead, it leads into a blank hallway. The same color paint as mine, but barren and unfamiliar to me. I poke my head through and look to either side, trying to see if there's anything different or similar about the new and unwanted addition to my house. I can see a plain white door down the hall to my left, while on the right, it just keeps going. The same hall stretches on for what seems like forever, long enough that I can't see what's down there. There's something moving, though, all the way down to the right. It looks like something is growing as it comes closer. I can hear it too. There's a kind of rumbling sound as it makes its way down toward me, and the window pane that I'm leaning through starts to shake in time with the noise. It grows both clearer and more obscure as it gets closer, shifting from a mass of shimmering air and darkness mixed together to a creature I've never seen before. I can make out arms, so many arms, branching off of it in every direction, pulling it along the walls, ceiling, and floor, propelling it closer to me. In the middle of the mass, a chasm opens, full of the most unnatural shade of red I've ever seen. I slam the window before it can get any closer and collapse against the opposite wall. There's a squirrel playing on the tree in my front yard, skittering up and down the branches, and almost running into a bird that's perched in one, dozing in the warmth of the day. I'm going insane. That's the only possible explanation for this. There's no other way that every door and window I open could lead right back into my house, or whatever god-awful place that just was. Deep breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. That's what I have to do. I have to get my mind under control. I close my eyes and tilt my head back, looking up at the ceiling as I try to get my bearings. When I open my eyes again, everything is different. The window is gone, and instead, there's just a blank wall where it was, the same off-white color as the rest of the walls in the house. Nothing to show that there was ever a window there. The rest of the house changed too. The doors leading outside are gone. All the other windows are gone. Blank walls have taken the place of all of them. I'm trapped here. Going by the clock on my phone, I've been stuck here for a little over a day as it stands. Power is still on, and I still have Wi-Fi. There have been some odd occurrences happening the past few hours. Once the house sealed itself, I made it a point to go sit on my couch and not move. Don't ask me why, but it seemed to be the most reasonable option. For some reason, the house couldn't turn me around if I wasn't moving, right? So I turned on the TV and tried to distract myself from a panic attack while I attempted to rationalize things. Not that any of this could be rationalized. I'm stone cold sober at this point, so I can't blame the booze. There could always be the possibility that I've snapped, but I doubt that. Medication hasn't changed recently, so nothing there. I suddenly had an idea. Then I grabbed my phone and called Pete, a friend of mine that lived down the street. If he was home, maybe I could get him to come over and open the door from the outside. Then I can get out. "What's up?" he answered after the third ring. "Hey man, I need a favor. Can you come over for a minute and open the front door? It's unlocked. I think I'm tripping something bad and could really use a hand." Odd request. But yeah, I'll be over in a few, he responded. I could tell he thought I was insane. I thanked him, then hung up, looking to the wall where the front door used to be. I must have gotten lost in my thoughts because the next thing I knew, my phone was ringing. "Hey, yeah, sorry, are you here yet?" I answered, seeing that it was Pete calling me back. Yeah, dude. I opened the front door as you said. Where the hell are you? He asked, more concern creeping into his voice. I felt a chill go down my spine, leading down to my hands, where a tremor began to intensify. Pete, I'm sitting on the couch. You should be able to see me from the door, I said, words catching in my throat. Well, you're not. No idea what kind of game this is, but the house is empty. No lights are even on. Come on, man, where are you? You up in your room tripping? He asked. No, Pete, listen. I'm sitting right here on the couch. Something weird is going on. I need you to find help. Whatever, man. I'm coming in, he said. No, I screamed into the phone. Too late. Where are you? What the hell? His voice wasn't on the phone anymore. It was coming from the hallway. He came walking down the hall and into view of the couch. What the fuck just happened? I was walking through the door. Then I'm here. You're too early for haunted houses. Jesus Christ. Now we were both stuck here. The front door still hadn't showed up. Windows were all still gone. Now he was stuck here too. There's something really odd happening. I don't know how or why, I said, tears beginning to well in my eyes. I told him the events of the night before, and everything leading up to now. When I was done, he sat down on the couch next to me, smiling and letting out an exasperated sigh as he did. You've always been really into this performance art, but this is like a whole new level. I'm honestly really impressed, he said, letting out a small laugh. Mirrors? I'm guessing you built a facade of some sort to mimic the hallway. You've outdone yourself. Listen to me, I said, gritting my teeth. I'm not messing around. Weird shit is happening and I don't know why. There's that thing crawling around somewhere and I don't want to be stuck in here if it decides to come back. We have to figure something out. All right, he said, standing up. Well, if we're going to do some Twilight Zone, then I've got to use the bathroom first. You called me right as I was going through my 4th cup of coffee. Second door on the left, right? I nodded to him. How could he not see it? He walked through the front door and ended up in the hallway halfway across the house. There's no way he could still think I'm making this up. I could still hear him talking as he made his way to the bathroom. As long as we're done by 8, I'm supposed to be taking Dana out for dinner tonight. She said she wants to go to that new Italian place downtown, but I really want tacos. I mean, I'll go there if I really have to. His voice trailed off in a shout. I bolted from the couch and ran toward the bathroom, seeing the door ajar and light spilling through into the hall. I came to a stop at the threshold, barely saving myself from the same fate that Pete had met. Right through the door where my bathroom used to be was a chasm. There was no bottom to it, just an endless darkness fading into the abyss. I could see the walls of the room along with the sink and shower across the way, but everything seemed to be impossibly floating in space. Pete, can you hear me? I shouted into the void. No response, just the still empty air. I fell back into the hallway, collapsing against the wall. There's no way he could be dead, right? Maybe he's just back outside. Maybe this was the way out. He had his phone on him still. Maybe I can call him. I ran back to the couch and nearly cracked my phone screen from punching in his name so forcefully. The line began ringing once, twice, thrice. There was a click as the line picked up. Pete, you all right, man? I asked. No response. There was a wet squelching sound on the other line. Pete, answer me, damn it! I almost threw the phone across the room because of the loud static screech that happened. Then it was almost deafening, leaving a ringing in my ears. Somewhere in the static, I could make out frantic screaming before the line went dead. I'm on my own again. God, I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up about getting out of here. Now I've probably gotten him killed too, and nobody will ever know because we'll never be found. There was suddenly a pounding on the door at the end of the hall, frantic thudding hits against the wood like fists begging for help. I got up and moved slowly over, cautiously reaching out to the knob. There was a faint voice coming from the other side. muffled, but there. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but there was fear in the tone. I inched closer, grabbing the doorknob and twisting slowly. I was almost bowled over as a man came barreling through, quickly turning and slamming the door behind him as another arm reached through and grabbed the wall. There was a disgusting crack as it was caught between the heavy door and the wooden frame, fingers splaying out in pain, but still searching for their prey. "Help, please!" the man screamed, looking down at me on the floor. I got up and threw myself at the door, helping to force it closed. The arm still wasn't budging. He grabbed it around the wrist, held it close, then rammed his shoulder against the door while pulling the wrist outward. Another crack followed, a wet pop, as the arm came loose from whatever it was attached to, and the door snapped shut. Whatever the arm belonged to let out a shriek as it was sealed away on the other side. The man stood, wiping sweat from his brow with his own arm while holding the severed one out to me. "Hand first. Appreciate the help. Name's Jasper. Now what part of the house are we in?" he asked. He had an old-time look about him, with slicked back hair and a button-up shirt torn at the sleeves. His bright green eyes had a devilish shine about them. Main hallway," I stuttered back. "Sorry, but where did you come from?" "Well, I own the house. Something happened a few days ago and it wouldn't let me out. Been running around here ever since," he answered, looking at his watch. "Let's see, Tuesday, January 16th, so that puts me at 6 days here." "No, man, I own the house. I bought it a few years ago at a foreclosure auction," I said, confused even more than I previously was. "Nonsense. I've lived here for 6 years. Bought the place brand new back in 1948, he said, frowning at me. "What do you mean you live here? You don't even look like you're from this country." My mind started spinning. Then he said, 6 years from 1948? So there's no way this guy had to be no older than mid-30s. He couldn't be that old. "Jasper, what year is it?" I asked hesitantly. 1954. "Why?" "You take a hit to the head. I was a medic at Normandy. I can check you out if you're hurt," he said, looking me over. "We should go sit down," I said, motioning him back to the couch. "You mean to tell me that I've been stuck here for 66 years? Man, I've seen some things the past few days, but holy shit, that's got to take the cake." Jasper was mumbling between bites of the sandwich I made him. The poor guy hadn't eaten almost since he got trapped here. When he said that, I realized I hadn't either. "Yeah, things have really changed out there. Lots of crazy going down," I replied, digging into my food. "So what the hell were you running from back there?" "Ah, the Terror. Not entirely sure what it is, but it has a lot of arms and just a giant, I don't know, a void, I think, for a mouth. Damn thing is terrifying, that's for sure. I saw it when I was trying to escape through the window." It just led into another hallway I had never seen before. That thing was pulling itself through toward me. I shuddered at the memory. "What the hell is this place?" Jasper just shrugged, finishing his food and sitting up, taking everything in. He was marveling at the television when there was a sudden rumble from the kitchen area. We looked at each other in surprise as it slowly grew louder. "That's our cue to leave, my friend," he said, jumping up from the couch and running to the hallway. He paused for a moment and looked at the 3 doors around him, considering his options. "Don't try the bathroom. It's gone," I said, running up beside him. "Mind telling me why we're running and what the hell we're going to end up in?" "Well," he started, choosing the door straight ahead. "What we're running from is that same thing we were just talking about. What we're running to all depends on how the house feels right now. Sometimes it's a room, sometimes it's a hall. Really just depends." We dove through the door, slamming it shut as soon as we were through. The rumbling continued behind us, growing louder by the second. There's no telling how close that damn thing was, but I didn't plan on looking back or stopping to find out. On the other side of the door was an almost infinite hallway. We ran, feet pounding against hardwood floors in time with our hearts. The rumbling behind us remained steady and was soon joined by the sound of clawing and slapping at the walls. I made the mistake of looking back. The many-armed beast was clawing ever closer to us. The chasm in its center opened wide, allowing a brief glimpse inside. I was closer now than I had been before and could see that shade of red again. This time, that shade of red was something I had seen before. A memory flashed through my mind of studying in college astronomy and space phenomena. It wasn't just a shade of red that was living inside that thing. It was a black hole, an actual honest-to-God black hole. The event horizon was giving off that hue of red that I was noticing, emanating light from the boundary of the void. As I looked closer, I began to notice everything around the creature warping, being pulled inward toward the chasm as it went before bursting back outward, as if it was breathing. "Stop looking at it, kid." Jasper's voice cut through the hypnotic pulse of the void. He was still running right in front of me, straining himself to look ahead and find a way out. Almost 100 yards ahead, there was a door on the right, slightly ajar with light pouring through. "Found our exit. Get ready." He grabbed me by the arm as we approached the door, yanking me along as he dove through. We spilled into a small room bathed in candlelight. Again, it was that same color as the rest of the house. On the wall to our left was a large set of double doors, and directly across from us was what I can best describe as an altar of some sort. That was where the candlelight was coming from. Dozens of long red candles sat scattered across the altar, casting flickering light in every direction. Sitting there in the center of the table was a book, pages yellowed with age, and dust settled in a thick layer on the top. Jasper walked over and brushed the book off, opening it to the first page and flipping through. I walked over to the double doors, pulling on the twin handles in the middle. The doors were heavy, with the handles made of what appeared to be brass, though it was so tarnished, there was no telling if it was anything else. They didn't move, instead staying tightly closed, no matter which way I pushed and pulled. Giving up, I walked over to the altar next to Jasper. "I don't suppose that thing says how to get out of here, does it?" I asked him, looking over his shoulder at the pages. The writing was old, scratched into the paper with ink that was half faded from time. The words seemed to change languages as we looked at them, going from English to what I recognized as Latin, Russian, Japanese, kanji, and eventually into a language I had never seen, made up of small, jagged lines and dots, meeting in all kinds of odd angles. "You're seeing this right?" I whispered, not believing my eyes. The words continued to change, now just seeming to go between the alien calligraphy and English. I could catch glimpses of words as Jasper skimmed the pages, some popping out at me as they went. Gatekeeper, death toll, gods before the cosmos. "Yeah, it keeps changing. I was able to read the other language until it got to whatever this is," he muttered, still flipping through. We finally came to a full 2-page drawing near the middle of the tome, arms extending from a dark mass in the fold of the pages. The thing that had been chasing us. There were words at the top of the page, changing languages again. "What does that say?" I asked, not comprehending any of the words as they flashed by. "It's Latin," he replied. "It says the gatekeeper must be paid." He flipped the page again. This one, a crude drawing of the creature shoving a human into its mouth with the person spiraling into nothingness after it passes through. "So that thing is the gatekeeper?" I asked, letting out a shudder. "What the hell does it mean?" "It must be paid. If that thing is the gatekeeper, then it may be the key to getting out of here." Jasper was almost whispering to himself this time. "It looks like its toll is a human sacrifice to get out." The rumble began again, scratching noises following close behind outside of the first door. I ran over to the double doors, desperately pulling at them again. Still no give. Jasper was still standing at the altar, looking from me to the door we entered through, panic in his eyes. "We're trapped," I said, moving to the far side of the room and hoping to give myself as much distance as possible. The scratching sounded much closer now, probably just a few dozen feet down the hall. I looked to Jasper, still standing there. He was reaching for one of the candlesticks on the table, hefting it in his hand. "You're seriously going to try and fight it?" "No," he whispered, moving toward me. No. It needs the toll to be paid. I'm sorry." He raised the candlestick and came rushing at me. The scratching outside slowed as the flame of the candle was snuffed out. The scratching in the hallway slowed as Jasper brought the candlestick down toward my head, almost like the thing outside was waiting to see who came out on top, watching for the loser who would be devoured by the cosmos. "I'm sorry, brother," Jasper said again with tears in his eyes. I had brought my arms up to guard my head and felt the bone of my forearm crack as he made contact with the heavy metal of the candlestick. I howled in pain and fell backward toward the double doors. "Jesus, man, you don't have to do this. There's got to be some other way out," I screamed at him. "Don't let that damn thing get me." I was pleading now, my heart beating out of my chest and into my throat as he moved toward me again, lifting the makeshift weapon. The scratching of the gatekeeper outside moved ever closer. It had to be right outside the door now. I ran to the corner opposite Jasper, holding my fractured arm close to me. Every movement was pain, and I had lost most of the feeling in my right hand. Jasper kept moving forward, holding his candelabra further up as he prepared to end me. The light from some of the still flickering candles on the altar was shining in his eyes, making huge emeralds of fear that were staring into my soul. I don't know what came over me, but I decided to just go with my gut. I dashed behind him, running right into the altar and knocking it to the ground. Candles caught the carpet on fire immediately, moving up cheap paneling on the walls. If this part of the house was older, there was probably a ton of asbestos in here that wouldn't catch immediately, but I must have gotten lucky because the wallpaper was going up fast. So, I had to make my move while Jasper was caught off guard, shielding himself from the encroaching flames. "Come on, man. Just let me get out of here. I've done my time," Jasper was saying as he came closer, hefting the candelabra at me again. "God, they've probably been looking for me for years, haven't they? There are people out there. I need to get back." The fire was licking further now as I picked myself back up, running toward the twin doors again. This time they gave, bursting inward back to the living room. As I fell into the couch face first, the gatekeeper burst through the other door into the altar room, probably sensing that one of its meals was getting away. Jasper came running out at me, falling over the other side of the couch as I rolled to the side to avoid him. Flames were growing from the other room, overtaking the doorway and entering into the living room. I could see the gatekeeper clearly through the fire, sucking in everything around it to the singularity inside. Flames were spiraling in, only to be extinguished by the void of space with no hint they were ever there. I tried getting up, hoping I could run through the front door and at least get away from the madness burning through everything right now. I ran, hitting the door hard and bouncing back as it didn't give. Even as I desperately pulled the doorknob, I kept shaking it, looking right through to the window outside. Jasper was coming up behind me, too late to do anything but turn as he grabbed onto me, using his weight and mine to throw me backward toward the burning doorway, right into the arms of the gatekeeper. As I fell into the void, I could see the door I had been desperately trying to get through fly open, the light of billions of burning suns coming through and evaporating him instantly, like a nuclear bomb going off. Heat hit me briefly, before I was absorbed into the cold feeling of the void. The gatekeeper's many arms pulled me in like a greedy child taking every bit of food around. There, floating in front of me as the rest of my body passed through, was a small hole like a window showing my home from the inside. I felt my breath sucked out of me, the feeling of no gravity making me nauseous. I swear I thought this was the end for me, There's no way to come back. And as a sudden magnetic presence took hold, I was hurled backward from the portal through the edge of the event horizon. I don't know how to describe what I saw, to be honest. It was beautiful in a way, but also one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. As I slipped through the singularity, I could see the entire universe laid out before me, stretching for endless eons through galaxies and star systems. Slowly, I was pulled backward for what felt like an eternity. The cosmos beyond began to take shape. Each one was its own body floating freely as the central star of their system, vaguely humanoid but incomprehensible in the sheer size of it. One of them had the pillars of God, something I recognized from an old NASA photo, and was still huge in comparison. Each one was eviscerated, though, insides trailing out to the boundaries of their universe, creating stars from drops of blood and planets from loose bones. Dead gods doomed to rest in eternity as their corpses were scavenged. They stretched out further than I could see, but near the end, I swear I saw something else, like a supernova slowly expanding, taking the stars piece by piece as it made its way closer. I tried screaming, sound lost to the cold darkness of space around me. I was getting lightheaded now, lack of oxygen finally catching up to me. It wouldn't be long before I was dead and gone, floating in space for nobody to ever find. I suddenly felt a hand grab me again, pulling me with a rough yank around the middle. The cold void was suddenly very hot, my eyes stinging and vision obscured as smoke filled my lungs. They threw me outside on a gurney before I could tell what was happening, coughing my damn lungs out. I finally got enough actual air into my lungs to see through the stinging tears. My house was in flames, a pyre burning into the night as an EMT started looking me over. "You all right in there, buddy?" she said, shining a flashlight into my eyes one by one. "Can you tell me your name?" I babbled it out, still not sure if I was dead or hallucinating the entire thing. She asked me what year it was next. Then her eyes grew wide in concern at my answer. 2020, I said, looking at her and coughing again. She signaled to the other EMT outside, who came over and leaned in toward her. After a brief whisper back and forth I couldn't hear, he asked me, now concern in his eyes, "Do you know where you are?" "That's my house." I coughed. "Okay, call ahead to the ER. Let them know we're going to need some brain scans. Might be a concussion," he said to the woman, moving back over to one of the firefighters now helping the others to put the fire out. I passed out there, exhausted from everything that was happening. It wasn't until later that I woke up in the hospital, IVs in my arm and an oxygen mask on. A doctor came in after a few hours, telling me that my scans didn't show any kind of brain injury. He asked me again what year it was, then took a seat when I gave him the same answer. "It's 2024, son," he said, a grave look in his eye. "Did something happen to you? Were you left in that house by someone?" Needless to say, I'd been pretty fucked up for the past few days. 4 years passed since I first tried to leave the house, though it only felt like a couple of days for me while I was in there. Well, I came back to find out my mom passed. I've been trying to come to terms with everything, catching up on what's happened and the things I've missed. My brother was happy to see me at least and tried his best to tell me what happened after I apparently went missing. The house is gone. Good fucking riddance. Even in all the rush of getting back here, I still can't fathom why the gatekeeper let me live while burning Jasper to atoms. Maybe it was some warped sense of karmic justice since he was willing to sacrifice me. Maybe the cosmos don't have any reasoning. Either way, I don't feel like I've aged 4 years, and my brother tells me I look exactly the same. The stress from me missing has made him look like the older one now. Oh. I looked up records about Jasper, at least what little I could find. I'm guessing he didn't have many people around because there was only one mention of him in an article about some mob guys dying, saying they were a suspect in his disappearance. Hell, even if I tried to come forward with info about him, It's not like anyone would believe me,